All right, a good evening to all of you. The current time is 10:16 p.m. here on January 11th. I'm forecaster Nick Dunn. I have Owen Fritz here as well. We have a newly issued tornado warning. Yes, it is January. We have a tornado warning for portions of Miami and Champaign counties in the Miami Valley until 10:45 p.m. this evening. This is a radar-indicated rotation signature that exists right now over portions of Miami County. Owen, we've been watching this for, let's say, the last hour or so, and now the Weather Service has elected to go ahead and issue a tornado warning, and that is a very robust signature from the terminal Doppler site there. I'm going to pull that up now. Right there near Troy and Casstown, east of 75. Folks there definitely need to be in their tornado-safe places right now.
Yeah, everyone, first thing I can tell you is that we were watching this just a little bit earlier. I kind of said that. I said, hey, I was looking at it near the town of Ludlow in our last broadcast. So it finally has grown enough strength and enough shear instability that they have elected to issue this tornado warning. So just real quick, make sure that you're getting to your tornado-safe shelters. Get to the lowest level of your house. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and make sure you try to cover your neck and head as the storm passes. So the best thing is make sure you get in that tornado-safe shelter. This is going to go near some populated towns such as Troy. It is for Troy, Fletcher, St. Paris, Christiansburg. It will cross over. It is crossing over right now. Has crossed over, the I-75 corridor there just outside of Troy. This is heading now towards St. Paris. So the bulk of this storm right now is crossed over 75. It is staying to the south and to the west of Piqua. South and to the east of Piqua, and it's just approaching the town, in my opinion, of Fletcher. So if you're in Fletcher or anywhere between Piqua and Fletcher, you need to be in your tornado-safe shelter. If this continues on the same track, I wouldn't be surprised to see another warning issued just a little bit to the north of this at this point as the storm continues to move off towards the north and towards the east. So again, tornado-safe shelters, we are picking up some very low-level type rotation on radar, and when we're looking at this, we're seeing correlation coefficient. They're looking at this, and there's a tornado warning. You heard the cow there, so you're looking at I don't know if you heard the cow. The cow is on my screen. But they went ahead and continued the tornado warning now. They just updated the warning, and it is now continued until 10:45 p.m. So at 10:17, the National Weather Service still has a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado that's moving northeast at 55 miles an hour. Again, this is a radar-indicated tornado, so make sure that you are in your tornado-safe shelter. So moving northeast, Nick, at 55, so it's moving very quickly, so you need to take this very, very seriously if you're downstream or anywhere in the polygon.
Yeah, so real quick, I want to jump on to a couple different things. So there are 3 areas of concern. You can almost probably find them. You've got one here that is right near the community of Fletcher. And then you also have one, and hopefully you can still hear my audio. My system is telling me that it's not able to pick me up, so hopefully it's still working. But then there's 2 areas just to the north of Casstown, actually, that bear some watching over the next several minutes. I'll zoom this out just a little bit for you. So those of you that are right now, if you live in the communities of Fletcher and Christiansburg and St. Paris, Rosewood, and even if you have an Urbana address there along US 68, I would be in your tornado-safe places. That's going to be lowest level. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, preferably in a basement. Put your bike helmet on, take it down. Again, we're not calling this this is not going to be a big tornado. This will be very brief, small, very quick type of tornadoes, but still, as you're going to your tornado-safe places, put your bike helmets on. That includes if you have children, take them with you, put their helmets on. And real quick, wow, and look at the latest terminal Doppler signature near Fletcher. That really just blossomed. That's going to be about a mile or so south of US 36, east of 75. That runs towards St. Paris and Urbana, and eventually over close to the community of Mechanicsburg. Owen, are you seeing that there on the terminal Doppler? That really blossomed on this latest scan.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think your audio is really over-modulated on the broadcast. I was just listening to it real quickly, so you can back that off just a touch. Yeah, just so everybody knows, it really has, over the last few scans, developed, and it continues to be there, in my opinion, right near the town of Fletcher, just to the south, as you can see on radar. So make sure you're looking at that on radar there. You can see that really blossoming, and I assume we're looking at terminal, Nick, on your radar. So, and I'm looking from Wilmington, and it is still there on Wilmington's radar, which is a little bit further. The couplet definitely is there. So we're continuing to look at this, but if you're in that town of Fletcher, make sure that you are definitely seeking shelter. Christiansburg, Rosewood, any of the other towns, it's not on your doorstep. We'll have to wait and see, Nick. This may impact, I don't know if it's going to get the other county or not, but we'll have to wait and see here in just a few minutes. They continue to confirm the warning, I should say, and there goes another. Let's see. They continue the tornado warning once again. They just issued another update for it, and is now moving near Troy, still moving northeast at 55. So they went ahead and updated that as well. So they're continuing to indicate this right now. The third update there for the warning, Nick.
Yeah, so, and, wow, okay, maybe this audio is a little bit better now. So real quick, so as I was saying, as you're going to your tornado-safe places this evening, again, make sure it's going to be in a basement, a small interior room, bathroom, hallway, closet if you don't have a basement. If you're in a mobile home, you need to get out of there and find a more substantial shelter. Definitely don't want to be hiding under any overpasses, although in this part of the state, you really shouldn't worry about that too much, if at all. The other thing I just noticed here, Owen, at least on the terminal Doppler, is that the velocities have really fanned out. You can clearly see a distinct bowing structure with this. So in addition to the little mesovortices, as we like to call them, you're going to see a quick burst of what's likely going to be some straight line wind damage, or even some perhaps some microburst or downburst type activity. I'm also watching another area here near New Carlisle, Owen. It's going to be south of the warning polygon. It's going to be south of State Route 41. A couple little curly cues starting to pop up there. We could see a second tornado warning issued here very soon.
Yeah, Nick, as I alluded to earlier, with some of this stuff, we're going to continue to have to keep a very close eye, because it's going to be one of those situations where it's a very brief type spin-up situation. That's what it's going to be tonight. It's going to be very low-lying. As you can tell, if we're actually not looking, we're very fortunate right now that we can see as close as we can, because we're looking at the terminal Doppler. But again, if we're looking far away from, let's say, Wilmington, we can't get a good look at this. And again, you got to remember, we're looking way above the sky because the radar is on a tilt. So getting a good look at this because of the terminal Doppler, it's definitely something to take very seriously, and we're very fortunate to have that in this area. So something to keep in mind as you're looking at some of these images. We're looking at it from the terminal Doppler in Dayton, which is very prominent there. We can actually see that. So we're continuing to monitor this, and we'll have to see, Nick. I'm looking at it from a couple different angles. I'm looking at it from Wilmington, and again, I'm seeing some more rotation now north of Fletcher. So we're going to have to continue to watch that here in the next few minutes. That's another area that I'm looking at. But as you said, it kind of spanned out. We're going to wait and see what they do here in the next update. But again, if you're in this area, make sure that you're seeking shelter, getting to the lowest level of your house, and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If you want to know where this is at, this is just outside of Dayton. We're going to try to keep it zoomed in as tight as possible. I understand you want us to zoom out, but we're going to keep it as tight as possible. So we're just to the north of Dayton for everybody who wants to know where we're at.
Yeah, good point. Now, I'll switch back over to reflectivity for just a couple of seconds here. I just want to put a quick track on this. I'll tell you, from the Wilmington radar, this really is not overly impressive from a reflectivity perspective. This is why we have these other tools, what we call velocity and correlation coefficient. But zooming out and giving you a quick track. Again, if you're in Champaign County, particularly, I'm going to say probably Urbana and points north, I really can't rule out the entire county because we're still watching for other signs of rotation, perhaps, to begin developing. But downstream, Bell Fountain, Marysville, Marion, if this were to hold together, kind of keep an eye for that, especially for damaging wind. Owen, I know southeastern Shelby County, they're southeast of Sydney, is not in the warning, but I would say that they should probably, just as a course of least regret, probably go ahead and take their tornado-safe places near, that's going to be west of Rosewood. At least we're seeing some really strong winds coming through portions of Shelby County at this point.
Yeah, definitely on the terminal Doppler, Nick, that I'm looking at the velocity side, it is just going to cross into. Whoop, we just got an update here. They canceled the tornado warning. So the warning is now canceled. So the tornado warning for northwestern Champaign and northeastern Miami counties is canceled. The storm which prompted the warning is weakened below severe limits and no longer is capable of producing a tornado. Therefore, the warning is canceled. However, gusty winds are still possible through this thunderstorm. So if you had any previous tornadoes, wind damage, please report that to the National Weather Service. So the warning now is officially canceled. The tornado warning is now canceled. But Nevertheless, you still need to treat this as a very serious situation. Even though they did cancel the warning, they could reissue it at any time.
And that's going to bring me to a point here. They issued the warnings till 10:45, and here we are. We still have 20 minutes, and they've canceled it very early. So, again, still be in your tornado-safe places, just as a course of least regret. We're still seeing winds well over 60 miles per hour coming into Champaign County, even into northwestern Clark County. So anybody in Champaign County, you're going to see some really strong winds between now and about 11 o'clock this evening, perhaps exceeding 60 miles per hour. Go ahead, Owen.
No, it was sorry, I just looked at, and Wright Pat just measured 72 knots, so they were.
Is that from the weather station there?
Yep, that is the ASOS station.
Okay, so I'm kind of shocked we don't have a severe thunderstorm warning then for Clark County. So the Wright Pat sits here, and I'm going to switch back over to this other source. I want to show you where we're referring to.
They might get one with that.
Yeah, so we had a report of a 72 mile per hour or 72 knot. Owen, can you do the conversion for me real quick on that?
So you're looking at 72 knots, and you got to kind of remember the conversion. Everybody with conversion, it's a little bit higher. It's about 82 miles an hour roughly.
Wow.
So 72, if you go to 80, you do the conversion in your head, it's about 82.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, right now, if you live in Bell Fountain.
1.15 if you ever want to multiply it in your head.
Okay. So we're looking, so if you live in Bell Fountain, West Liberty, Urbana, Springfield, Xenia, and anywhere between, let's say, I-75, US 68, US 42, be prepared for some really intense winds. Oh, and I'm shocked we don't have a severe thunderstorm warning for that kind of a measurement of wind speed. That also probably went through, we'll probably say places like Park Lane, Holiday Valley, Enon, Yellow Springs, Fairborn. This entire area may have just seen some really intense weather roll through the area. We're still seeing wind speeds, at least on the radar, well over 40 miles per hour. But, Owen, since we have that measurement, maybe the radar's a little underdone this evening.
Well, I can tell you, Nick, I'm actually just updating our video there. I put the warning was canceled early to tag that for everybody, because I know we got 600 people or so right now watching this. So just to let everybody know, kind of a recap, if you're just joining us right now, that the warning has been canceled. All right, the tornado warning that prompted this, or the warning that prompted this, has been canceled. But we are picking up that 72-mile-an-hour gust that just come out of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So to kind of give you a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look at what happens, usually these automated weather stations, basically is what we call them, observation stations at different airports, report back to the National Weather Service, and they, especially when they hit a trigger or a point like a severe gust over 58 miles an hour. So anytime that happens, they report back to the National Weather Service, and it automatically does it very quickly, and it does it very rapidly. So we get to see it at the same time the National Weather Service is seeing it. So the National Weather Service, when I said that, just got it as well. We're looking at it at the same time. So then they can go ahead and elect to do what they want to do with that information. So they did get it at the same time, so it may take just a few minutes for them to process that and see if they get a continued repeating gust like that. So it was 72 miles an hour. I know there's some people in the room actually who said, hey, is that really true? We are getting some other reports here too, by the way. In Montgomery County and Beaver Creek, Train Spotter reporting some thunderstorm damage, large spruce trees down in some of that area. We're also getting another one here. That's in Mason County, but that was in Kentucky. It measured 66 miles an hour. So from the National Weather Service, it looks like they put out just a quick statement that the rotation quickly intensified west of Troy. It appears to have moved to the city of Troy. As the rotation weakened, the second area of rotation developed to the north, southwest of the city of Fletcher. This rotation also was short-lived. That's why the warning was canceled. So they are, the National Weather Service also, as mentioned, they are checking into that 72-mile-an-hour gust to make sure, 72-knot gust, I should say, which is 82-mile-an-hour gust at Wright Pat. They're looking into that, and I imagine they're calling the weather department there at Wright Pat, which we got to visit, Nick, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, that's a really neat facility if you get a chance to ever check that out. So, but again, right now we're going to stick with this here. I want to see if they're going to issue any further warnings, and and especially if that 80-mile-per-hour gust does actually come back to verify it's correct, we probably need to probably stick with this for a little bit. That is Category 1 hurricane force type of winds rolling through the areas. So, and real quick, Owen, I want you to flip back over to the Tornado Doppler in Dayton and go back into Greene County east of Xenia. we're seeing some pretty wavy velocity signatures. Again, very indicative where we could see maybe, again, a few spots of rotation trying to pop up near Cedarville, Jamestown, and down towards Bowersville. We're looking at about 1,400 feet, so still a pretty low-level scan. Owen, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, and as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, we're going to continue to have to look at these pockets of, as I call, rotation, especially this low-level type of stuff. And I call it stuff, if you will, because, again, a lot of this stuff's coming in under the radar, quite literally. So we're going to have to continue to do what we can with the high-level scans that we get. When we see some sort of rotation that may not be as strong as we think, when we see that, we have to kind of assume underneath that it's even stronger. So in some of those areas, yes, we still have to watch it. I know I'm looking in like the Rosewood area, if you will, which is just north of St. Paris. That's having some very strong winds, and strong winds in one direction at this point, so it has really fanned out, but it continues to be very strong as it pushes off towards Springfield, pushes off towards Bellefontaine, and we're going to have to continue to watch this whole line as it moves forward. So I think this could be very quickly, you could very quickly see some of these spin-ups as we go through the next few hours as it charges off towards Columbus.
Yeah. Hey, Owen, real quick, I just got a comment in the stream from Stephanie Fair that says, from a friend in Troy, damage to buildings throughout downtown Troy. It's a mess. Emergency crews are all over the area.
I wouldn't be surprised. Our thoughts, our prayers go out to everybody who could be impacted tonight. We'll try to get some confirmation of what's going on there. But if that is the case, they had some very, very strong winds very, very quickly in that area. And it definitely showed up. That couplet showed up. The warning was issued. So again, this can happen as we continue to move on throughout the evening hours. So you must be prepared to have ways to get your warnings. So make sure you have multiple ways to get warnings tonight, especially if you're out ahead of this mini line as it charges towards Columbus. Will it hold together as it goes towards Columbus? Maybe, but something to keep an eye on as we go through the next several hours, next few hours, if you will. But we'll have to do some investigating, Nick. I'll have to look and try to see if I can find some more information on what's going on there in Troy and what's going on, because wouldn't be surprised. They had some very, very quick the radar return on that one when it hit Troy was very quick. It just kind of poof, and I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see some downbursts there. So I'm not sure if that's what it was or it was a tornado. We'll have to kind of wait and see. I'm going to continue to back up and see what we can see when we had it. Especially, I could tell you that the strongest of the couplet, Nick, and I'm not sure if you can back it up. We can go back to Troy and back it up, but if you look at it, it seemed on mine the strongest was just to the northwest part of the city. So I'm not sure exactly where the damage was.
Yeah, so real quick though, before we do that, I do want to give a quick track. I know this is a 2-hour track. Obviously, I don't really think that this will hold. We got another warning, Owen?
No. I'm just saying the 72 knot has been verified by right now.
Wow. Okay. Not surprised there. So here's again a real quick track, and some of you have been asking this. We've been trying to get some confirmation of what's been going on in Champaign and Miami County. But real quick, Grove City 11:05, Columbus 11:10, Littleton the next 45 minutes, Marion 11:15, Gahanna 11:18, Mansfield just before midnight tonight if this were to continue to hold together. So that's what we're watching right now. I do want to take you back over to our other radar source here, and I want to go back because I'm pretty sure I can go back. Yeah, we can go way back. Prior to when the warning was issued. So I got a comment from somebody, I'm waiting on a reply, that there was some really strong wind in portions of Darke County, and I'm waiting for a confirmation as to what part, because that may actually go a long way. So right now, let's take you back to 9:58. We'll zoom in here. I won't stay on this long, but I do want to touch base on it. So there's 9:58. You can see really some good indication of straight line winds. We take you in time. You can see every couple minutes it updates. And I'm going to say at right about 10:10 or 10:11 is when it came into Troy. There were some really strong inbound winds, perhaps in excess of 60 or maybe even 80 miles per hour, depending on the pixel that you're reading. And then it really intensified right over Troy. In fact, there is a gate-to-gate shear marker right over Troy at 10:12. And if we add the different wind speeds together, that was well over, and I'm saying well over, 100 miles per hour right over the city of Troy, right from the terminal Doppler site. And that is at 130 feet. Winds were well over 100 miles per hour. So that's likely, if we had a tornado, Owen, that's exactly when it came through Troy. I'm not sure if you can pull up the correlation coefficient for 1012 from Wilmington. I'd be curious to know what we saw.
It was there.
It was there? Okay.
Now I'm looking at some live video, and I know I can't show this to you right now. I'm trying to get permission to use it. I'm looking at some live video from someone in Troy. So I'm looking, emergency personnel are on the scene. To me, and I can't, it's hard to gather, of course, it looks like more of a roof that maybe blew off or something along those lines. I mean, it's not like buildings were demolished. It doesn't look like in this video or anything like that, but it looks like some very, very strong winds. Could have been a microburst, and it looks like a lot of insulation, things like that blowing around, maybe from the roof line. So I'm not 100% sure, but we are looking at some of this video here, Nick, and I'm trying to get maybe some permission that we can use it here. So we'll have that for you here in just a few minutes. But there is some damage in the city of Troy, and I'm working on getting some confirmation to use this and show this to everyone.
All right, thanks. I do want to fast forward a little bit. So we go to 1014, still a very strong indication of rotation in between Troy and Casstown. But then if you live up towards Fletcher, watch what happens here. At about 1018, another strong signature of rotation. You can see some of the reds and oranges and some greens. And really at 1019, this is actually a stronger signature than what came through Troy. Again, we're talking winds, again, well over 100 miles per hour at the gate-to-gate shear. And how we come up with that number is we take the highest number that we're seeing in the reds and the highest number that we're seeing in the greens. We add those together, and that's your gate-to-gate shear. So just kind of giving you a little bit of a background of how that works. And again, that did not happen very long after Troy. So there may have been a couple of small tornadoes in Miami County. We fast forward to now. I do want to point out a couple of things, okay? Number one, coming through Springfield on the north side of Springfield. We are seeing winds well over 60 miles per hour all the way up US 68 to Urbana towards West Liberty. I would still treat this as if it were, perhaps I wouldn't necessarily say a tornado warning, but kind of take this as a moving indoors, staying away from windows. I would not want to be near windows with winds of this magnitude. Again, we had a report of 80-plus mile per hour winds from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. That included, I would imagine that most of that probably came right through Springfield along I-70 through Clark County. So that would include, again, Northampton to Carlisle, Yellow Springs, Enon, Springfield, Tremont City. Okay, so that's probably where we're seeing some of the strongest winds in Clark County. Again, if you live along US 68, be in a safe spot. Just be inside, be away from windows. We're going to stay with you here for a little bit longer because I still feel that's a pretty dangerous situation that we're still dealing with. We're seeing winds well over severe criteria. We're going to stick with the velocity image. I'm not going to show you the reflectivity because, I mean, I can show it to you real quick, but it is really not that impressive. Okay, I mean, if I can show you this, I'll turn off the track real quick, but it's just not that impressive. This is a very broken line. I will show you, though, coming into Urbana and then eventually towards North Lewisburg, Woodstock, Mechanicsburg. This part of the line is very straight, and it's by itself. Again, a very good indication of potential for straight line winds. If you're in, this is why I made this call a little while ago, and I think this was a very good call. If you're in Champaign County, get indoors, stay away from windows, be in your safe place. Again, a very quick moving line. It's very small. You're not going to hear any thunder. You're not going to see any lightning. It's going to come in, and it's going to be about a quick 5-minute burst, and then it's going to be gone. That's exactly where we're at right now. So just kind of keep that in mind. And then, again, the rest of this, down towards South Charleston, South Solon, down towards Octa, Jamestown, Western Fayette County. This also could be containing some really, really strong winds. And, Owen, I'm still waiting to see the official report pop up from Wright-Pat yet, but you said that was verified, correct?
Yeah, Wright-Pat actually was in our chat room with the National Weather Service. They did confirm it, and actually they did just put it out a few minutes ago at 10:37. The local storm report was issued by ILN, so they did issue that for Greene County. It should be there, and I can tell you that Cleveland now has chimed in a little bit out of National Weather Service out of Cleveland, and they're kind of looking at, hey, this is coming towards our coverage area, up towards the Columbus area, and the the meteorologist in charge right now is looking at that. So they're saying, hey, maybe something we ought to look at as we head in the overnight hours. But I can tell you that I'm still looking and trying to get some permission to use some of these videos. I'm sure you're going to start to see a bunch of live videos here from Troy. If you just do a basic search on Facebook, you'll see it. But we're looking at that, and we're definitely seeing damage. We're seeing power outages being reported from Troy. Not surprising. Some people are saying, hey, it was a tornado. We're not 100% sure until the National Weather Service does their survey, unless it could have been a downburst. They do look very similar in damage patterns, so it's very possible. But I can tell you, Nick, at that point, that normalized rotation was there, the couplet was there, and my radar, it was set, what was the time frame on this? This was at 3:06, 3:09. Yeah, 10:06 is right where I'm stopped and looking at it, so 10:06 when we convert it back to our Eastern time. But definitely it was there, and we're continuing to watch this as it moves off to the north and to the east, and at the same time we're dealing with some of the sleet and stuff back towards the Indianapolis area, so we're having a wide variety here. This is a classic case tonight, and National Weather Service Cleveland points this out as well. A very high shear, low cape, we've said that earlier, and low top, very low top, I've said that earlier, very low top convection environment. So things are going to be very low to the ground. We're starting to get into, Nick, more of a radar dead coverage area. We're going to be starting to see that. So we'll have to kind of wait and see what happens. We're looking at a couple other areas here north and to the west of Urbana, so we're going to continue to watch those very carefully, and we'll continue to bring more as needed as we head throughout the overnight hours. So I'm continuing to gather some information. I know that, Skywarn out of Dayton has reported they do have damage reports, and they are forthcoming. It is going to take a few minutes to type them. So it is taking just a few minutes because they do have a slew of damage reports coming in here. Yeah, I think it's time to maybe grab a cup of coffee and let's hang on for the next few hours.
Yeah, this is definitely not what the models have projected today, that's for sure. So those of you that are watching us over on Ohio News and Weather, I'm seeing a lot of comments about the Troy area. If any of you have pictures that you could send in to us, if you know anybody that lives over there, please, when you can do so safely, if you could have them send them to us, we would love to see them. Also, I heard in the Fletcher area the winds were bad, so maybe, again, we may have had 2 small instances of tornadoes in Miami County. I wanted to show you that 80-mile-per-hour wind gust. You're not going to be able to see it on your screen over here, but from what I can read it to you, so at 3:18, so that would have been 10:18 p.m., measured 83-mile-per-hour wind gust at the KFFO, which is the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, weather station. So you kind of look at the areas that were near here. So you got Park Lane, Enon, Yellow Springs, Fairborn, Holiday Valley, and even Riverside and Huber Heights. Again, maybe a sign of some kind of microburst. We usually don't see winds of that magnitude without something like that, especially in this kind of environment that we're in. So very interesting. We'll watch that very close. I do want to take you back to the reflectivity view for just a minute. So again, I mentioned those of you in Champaign County, we still have a very thin band of very heavy rain and very strong winds coming through Urbana. That's about to slide in Mechanicsburg, mainly on the north side of town, Woodstock, and North Lewisburg, and also it's coming down through West Liberty on US 68. It is this area right in here where my cursor is hovering over, and if I put that back into motion, you can see there was your tornado warning. That slid on by. You can see there's a very thin band. Again, very good indication. It's sitting here by itself. It's got a little bit of a backward C shape to it. Very, very little. It's very hard to notice unless you're really paying attention to it. Again, a very good indication of straight line winds. Again, that would be mainly sliding places north of Mechanicsburg, but very close. Woodstock, North Lewisburg, you're definitely in the path of that, so be in your safe place. And also now over here towards London. Again, another portion of this broken line of showers. There's no lightning or thunder, so please keep that in mind if you're out ahead of this. Marysville, London, Mount Sterling, even Circleville, not quite Columbus yet, a little early to tell. I want to see how much longer this really holds. Just get indoors, and if you're traveling along the freeway, perhaps get off and perhaps just kind of hunker down and get inside a convenience store or a gas station and kind of just stay indoors for the next hour or so as this line rumbles on through. Again, we're working on getting some information to use some video from Troy. Let's see here. So seeing a lot of comments saying thank you for being here. You're welcome. I'm understanding that perhaps some of the stations in Dayton did not pick this up and did not break in for the tornado warning in Champaign County, so that definitely makes me want to stay here a little bit longer just in case something else does pop up. We'll keep a very close eye on that. Trenton Davis, very high winds in Jeffersonville and Fayette County. Okay, so that's the southern end of this. I'm definitely not surprised. And it looks like Wilmington reported a gust of 59 miles per hour with this line. And this, again, this is all a part of, this is why we have a high wind warning in place this evening. And again, we can see some brief, really strong winds well over 50 miles per hour, perhaps even up to 60. And as we saw in some cases, even up to 80. I would be really curious to see if we have any damage reports out of that neck of the woods. And if there is, we'll try to share those with you. But this is a broken line. This is not really the most impressive thing I've ever seen on radar, but nevertheless, some really strong winds, a brief burst of heavy rain. You're not going to see lightning. You're not going to hear thunder. This is going to come in, and unless you are watching us or you're watching the television or perhaps you're watching your weather apps with radar on and you're paying attention, you're not going to even know this is coming. So, again, just be indoors, be in a safe place, and let this come on through. It's not going to take very long. Again, a 5-10 quick minute burst of rain and some really strong winds, and then the rain ends, but the strong winds will continue back behind that. And you can kind of see the radar loop here over the last hour or so. Again, it'll be a very close call for some of us here in Columbus. I think west of 71 in particular probably stands the best chance of seeing any kind of severe winds. But Owen, again, I'm really shocked we did not see a severe thunderstorm warning after that 80 mile per hour wind gust in the right pad area. That is an automatic trigger usually for a warning.
Yeah, Nick, there's a couple things. So they may have not seen any other areas with severe wind, if you will, or criteria for that over 56 miles an hour. So that's something to keep in mind. I know that was a measured gust, and yeah, I would have to agree that, man, it's like you usually see the warning when it's triggered, but the way these are moving and as quick as these are moving tonight, maybe it died down very quickly like we see in the Troy area. I can tell you that I'm continuing to look at this line, and I would agree that anything kind of south of this frontal boundary, anybody's fair game for that tonight. So I think we got to keep a very close eye on that. If you're along that boundary and south of the boundary that's coming through, I think it's fair game all night for potential wind events like this, and maybe some no-live type tornadoes, brief spin-ups. I know Cleveland's perking up. They're getting their coffee, if you will. They said so. It's something to look at. So Wilmington now reports a 51 knot gust right now. So they're seeing some gusts there as well.
Went to 59 miles per hour. I'm looking at one of my other sources here. Actually, automatically does that conversion. It actually reports it in miles per hour. So Wilmington,
58.6, Nick.
Yeah, yep, very close. So we got pretty much almost a 60 mile per hour wind gust in Wilmington, 83 at Wright Pat, wind damage near Beaver Creek, and a report of a 54 mile per hour wind gust in Butler County. So easily 50 mile per hour winds. I would think that we'd even see some. Maybe even a special weather statement come out for those that are in advance of this line, but I do not see that. I definitely do not see that at the moment. So we'll continue to watch this very closely. But go ahead, Owen.
No, I just was saying a couple things. I just watched the video there. Nobody's responding. I'm sure they're being. Even Cleveland just made a post on their page, National Histories page, about that Wright Pat thing. So they're looking at that. But I was looking at some of the photos and/or video from Troy and downtown Troy right now, mixed in with some of the debris. It looks like roof, and there's some bricks involved. This reminds me very much of Sandusky, Ohio, a few years ago. If anybody remembers that, in Sandusky, Ohio, I was there. I actually was doing kind of some preliminary damage assessment things, and I was looking at it, and again, that turned out to be straight line wind damage. So things like that can happen in this event. Not sure exactly what happened. I'm not sure. From the videos, it's very inconclusive on what it could have been. It very well could have been a tornado. I'm not saying that at all. Not there, but again, the National Reserves have to do their damage assessment tomorrow. And kind of determine what happened. But there is some bricks involved, and that kind of looks like they fell off the rooftops. but not seeing like major catastrophic damage, which is a very good thing. Hopefully there's no injuries, and our thoughts go out to those in Troy tonight, especially those that are impacted right now. So we'll continue to monitor that. I know there's power outages. I know we have flood warnings everywhere. We got a lot going on tonight, but we're going to continue to try to break it down for you as best as we can as we head into the next few hours, especially as this pushes off, moves into the Columbus area coming up next, and some of the other points here to the northwest of Columbus, and it pushes off to the northeast. We're going to continue to watch that. But again, kind of looks like, I don't want to say straight line damage, wind damage. I mean, from what I saw in the video, I would say that. But again, I'm not there to see if the damage is in a consistent tornado path or like tornado damage or not. It's very hard to see on the video. So, and you can't do damage assessment from a video anyway. So, but it's very very interesting to see. Hopefully, nobody was injured or hurt in that area. I am looking at a couple areas now, Nick, live right now. If you look at just north again of West Liberty and Bell Fountain, we are continuing to see some areas there. I don't want to say start to rotate, but it is looking, it's starting to tightening up just a little bit. So it's kind of in a triangular fashion between Bell Fountain, Quincy, and West Liberty. So I'm looking at that area very closely. That's something that's sticking out to me like a sore thumb, kind of like it did earlier. If you were on our earlier broadcast, I mentioned the area. I said just east of Richmond, and then that's actually the same storm that prompted the warning. So we were looking at that earlier, and again, I'm starting to see some of those same trends here just north of West Liberty. So if you're anywhere in that area, North Liberty, as it pushes off towards maybe the Richwood area and Kenton, even in Marion, make sure your head's up. And anybody ahead of this thing tonight, you need to make sure that you have a way to receive warnings, especially throughout the night tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, I want to switch over to power outages. I've got a statewide map. Greene County, 3,400 people are without power right now. I would imagine most of those are probably around the Wright-Patterson area. Clinton County, 2,700 outages. Clark County, only 70. Champaign County, 172. Miami County, 363. So right now, in terms of where the brunt of the weather is, which is across the Miami Valley, we got Greene County and Clinton County are right up there in terms of some really high-numbered power outages. And and again, I would not be surprised if most of those in Greene County are centered around maybe the Beaver Creek or Wright-Patterson area, just again merely based on the weather reports that came out of there. And all those outages are from the Dayton Power and Light section of those that are being tracked. Statewide right now we're at 10,000 outages. So all things considered, outages, we're kind of low right now, but they're all really centered on Greene and Clinton County right now.
Yeah, you still have me, Nick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, no, I was just curious there. Yeah, I would not be surprised at all, Nick, because we've seen some things there, and I'm like, yeah, especially when you have an automated weather observation station that says, hey, we had an 82-mile-an-hour gust. That's very interesting. 82, 83. That's very interesting. We're also starting to get some other gusts in here from Ohio County, West Virginia. We're seeing some measured gusts in the 50s, so we're going to continue to see that across the area. We're still getting some stuff in from Boone County now, and I'm sure that's maybe from early, but it says 913. So at 913 in Boone County, Kentucky, there's numerous trees down in that area as well, so we're getting some of those in live. But again, if you're just south of Bell Fountain right now, I'm watching that area very closely, so if you're in that area, make sure you just have a way to receive warnings as we continue to head over here in the next couple hours, because it has caught my attention. And it some things are sticking out there that I don't necessarily like to see, but just be prepared in case there were to be a warning issued. So if you're in, I believe that's Logan County and Union County, that's where I'd watch. That's where my focus is at this particular moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, here's a look at the latest radar. I'll show you the reflectivity side. There are kind of three areas. We've got the one here east of West Liberty now from southeastern Logan into northeastern Champaign. That'll slide over towards Marysville. And down here towards London, really throughout a good chunk of Madison County right now, we're seeing some strong winds. I know the city of London right there off of I-70's got an airport, so we'll see if maybe they pick up a strong wind gust or two there. That might be key in terms of any future warning issuance, especially as we're approaching Columbus. And then down towards Mount Sterling, east of Courthouse, this is much thinner, much more broad, and much more broken, but that doesn't mean we're not going to see anything. As of what we saw near Troy earlier, it did not take much for a tornado to come down there. So that's kind of, or at least that's what the speculation might be. Again, there's still a lot of work that'll have to be done, a survey, among other things. But again, once this line passes over your location, it's game on for strong winds after that. You're going to see wind gusts well over 50 miles per hour for several hours. And again, we'll be here watching all this for you. Continue to look at some of your comments here. Let's see what we've got here. So he's saying, asking if the line's going to hold together. We'll wait and see. There's a lot of it that's really starting to break apart. Mansfield around midnight, yes. Maybe a little bit after that, depending on how this holds together. Looking at some more comments here. Getting a comment out of the Union County, Madison County area that right now it's quiet. I expect that to change on the county line here in just a few minutes, really. I expect some changes to take place there. I'm going to switch over and look at the terminal Doppler out of Columbus for a minute. Not seeing any signs of rotation near London, but again, we're kind of in a little bit of a radar dead spot there. I'm just double checking all three sites just to see if we are seeing any indications of rotation over Madison County, and I am right now showing nothing, which is good. But again, right now, really mainly just a straight line wind threat. We did mention today that a brief spin-up tornado would be possible, although we really thought that better chance would be across southern Ohio, but we always tell you the tornado chance is never zero. And this is why, because you can get a couple of thunderstorms that they're kind of rogue and they're kind of on their own and they're doing their own thing, and before you know it, you have a brief little spin-up tornado. So that kind of happens every once in a while. So we'll watch out for that. Chances of a tornado warning down the line, I really can't rule it out, but I would really have to think that that the chances are pretty slim. You've seen that line there and moving into Union County, that is really thinning out a little bit, so that's a good sign. Still seeing some really good returns near London in terms of wind, and then obviously down even further south than that, down towards Chillicothe, seeing some good returns of strong wind there as well. Power flickering in Bell Fountain. With this line as it's working through, don't be surprised you get a few wind gusts between 50 and 60 as this is rolling through, and you may not get any warning before that happens. Just kind of keep that in mind as you are rumbling through the rest of the overnight here. I think that's kind of about all I have that's new. I'm not seeing any new reports. That's a good sign. Owen, do you have anything else to share now from the Troy area at all?
No, I mean, I think it was, I don't want to say, I'm trying to put it into words. Hopefully that was the worst of it in downtown Troy there, wherever those buildings were at. Hopefully it was the worst of it. Again, not going to say it was a tornado until the National Weather Service confirms whether it was or not. So could have been a possible tornado or straight line wind damage, excuse me. So as this holds together, we'll have to continue to watch that, especially along that frontal boundary. And if you're to the south of the frontal boundary, I think it's game on. I know some people in here are talking about Tiffin, Seneca County. Some of you watching in that area, Fremont, Sandusky County, where I'm at, not really expected here tonight. I have to say it's kind of more to our south. We were downgraded. We were, high wind warning. Now we're down to a wind advisor. They downgraded Seneca County, Sandusky County, so 4 counties. So not necessarily in that area am I very concerned, but always have a way to receive some warnings that possibly could be issued. I'm not ruling it 100% out, but I don't think it's as likely. Again, the biggest area that I'm potentially concerned with at this very second is over the city of Bell Fountain. So I'm keeping a very, very close eye on that for you there in Bell Fountain and Logan County. So continue to, just have ways to receive warnings overnight tonight, Nick. Don't want to overhype the situation. We're going to continue to gather information as we head through here the next few minutes. We'll continue to post it live as needed. So, Nick, I think we can wrap it up for now, and if we need to come back live here in a few minutes, we can.
Yeah, absolutely. So real quick, I do want to touch base and just kind of let everybody know over the next hour or so, Marysville, Delaware, Columbus, Circleville, Chillicothe, even towards Jackson, MacArthur, all the way down really to the Ohio River. I know I've kind of neglected this area tonight, but even down here, going to see some real quick increase in winds. In fact, my weather station now is actually indicating that the winds are beginning to pick up a little bit here in the Columbus area, so no surprise there. But again, just kind of be on guard this evening for at least the next hour or so. Again, Marysville, Delaware, Columbus, Circleville, Chillicothe, Jackson, Gallup Police, Huntington, maybe even up towards Marion and Layru, perhaps. If you live along that line there, just over the next hour, just be prepared. You're going to get a quick burst of wind. I've already seen a couple comments in the comments section saying yes, it was just a quick 5-10 minute burst. That's exactly what this is going to be. It's going to come in, and it's going to be really strong for a few minutes, but it's going to move out just as quick as it came in. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're going about your evening time. So Owen and I are going to continue to watch things here over the next little bit. If we need to come back live for any additional warnings, we will. If we get any kind of photos or confirmation of anything, we will be sure to share that along with you over the next little while here. And for the time being, I'm going to wrap this up here. So although before I go, I did just get a photo here of, looks like some kind of awning got ripped off. I'll have to work to verify exactly where that is, but we are starting to get at least a couple of reports of some damage coming in. So be sure you're doing if you're taking photos, just make sure you're doing it safely. That's all I ask. Be careful out there, and of course we'll keep you advised here on the Bell Park Weather Network. So for Owen Fritz, I'm Nick Dunn. Have a good evening, stay safe, and remember, over the next hour or so, just get indoors. If you're in a place like Marion, Delaware, Union, Madison, Pickaway, Franklin, Ross, even down to Wetumpka and Vinton and Pike and Jackson and Lawrence counties, and even Gallaudet County, just kind of be prepared and stay indoors while this line comes through. We'll be back as needed. Stay tuned and stay safe out there.